All right, these are 5 warning signs that you needed an SDR or an appointment setter yesterday, okay? My name is Taylor. I own a sales agency. I've been in this high ticket space since 2013. I started my first business selling high ticket services over the phone from Facebook ads in 2013. I was Alex Hormozi's first closer, and now I've started and scaled several 7-figure businesses. I've consulted with dozens and dozens of 7- and 8-figure businesses, and I've been the weirdo behind the scenes, building the sales teams, building the setter teams, building the systems, managing, all that kind of good stuff. What I want to get into is 5 warning signs of why you need an appointment setter, or maybe you have appointment setters and SDRs, they're just not doing a great job, okay? First one is your lead to call ratio is under 20%. What do I mean? So if you generate, let's say 500 leads in a month, the goal should be 100 of those turned into booked sales calls on the calendar with your closers. And if that is not happening, it's because you're just not dialing the leads enough, or you're not dialing them efficiently, okay? Now, as a whole separate topic, I see way too many companies using setters and SDRs who are onshore, American, with huge commission structures, and they're actually not producing that much. They're overpaid. They don't do enough sales activity. They do 80 dials, 100 dials, 150 dials a day. That is ridiculous, okay? So without getting into everything with the dialer, I'm happy to go into that in a separate video, but you do need to have a dialer that allows you to queue the newest leads first, but also have dialing campaigns where you're dialing new leads, you're dialing no-shows, and then you're reactivating and dialing old leads who have maybe not gone through the funnel and booked over the past 30 days. But you need to be calling the leads. You need to call them twice a day for the first 5 days. So that means 10 contact attempts. Okay, and the reason you do this is because it just takes time and activity to engage leads. People are so distracted nowadays. Yes, they clicked on your ad, but guess what? They got distracted. They got bored. They were scrolling on TikTok, right? Like, our brains are just wired now to like entertain, right? Give me the dopamine hit. And so you're just not going to convert at a high level enough of your leads into sales calls, okay? And so if your lead to call ratio or your lead efficiency is under 20%, you definitely need an SDR. You're leaving dollars on the table. Which brings me to the second sign, which is you're always just having to increase ad spend to increase your sales calls, right? So if you're ramping up your sales team, you're building a sales team, and the only way you can book more calls is if you spend more money and give Daddy Zuck more money. If that is the strategy, what you're constantly doing, you definitely need an appointment setting team or an SDR team to just create more efficiency with the leads you've already paid for. Again, they need to be contacted. They need to be dialed. They need to be nurtured. They might need additional content. They might need additional information. They might need to see a testimonial. And guess what? Nothing beats the human touch, which then brings me to number 3, the third sign. You're spending thousands of dollars on AI and different tools that are AI enabled, right? Because AI is the cool new thing, which is cool and it is super helpful. And we use AI in a lot of different ways. But you've spent thousands on AI and you actually didn't see an increase in sales. And I will tell you why. AI is great when it comes to personalizing appointment confirmation, personalizing the follow-up like sequences and emails, and even doing like the reminders and sort of like the automated nurture. But again, guys, people know when they're getting an automated text email, like nothing is going to beat a real person who has great tone, great product knowledge, and good sales knowledge, who can engage your lead on the phone, have a conversation, right? Have that human to human touch, which creates reciprocity, right? That creates value first, right? As the Hormozi slogan goes, like value first. And then guess what? Now they've got enough curiosity, enough interest, enough pain to want to get to the sales calendar and actually make sales. The next warning sign is that you're just not dialing or contacting your leads enough, so if you're not contacting your leads at least 10 times in the first week, you're just not going to have the lead efficiency that you want which is getting the most sales opportunities out of the leads that you pay for, okay? If you look at any historical data, the average number of touch points is anywhere from 15 to 25 touch points before a person becomes a buyer. And even like a story from us, like I had a real estate education company. We did $3 million in revenue our first 12 months in business. And what we noticed was the average lead time. So the average sales cycle from first click on an ad to purchase was actually around 30 days. So what does this go to show you? They have multiple points of contact, of content, and of nurture that eventually gets them to the finish line. But so many marketers and companies out there, they're just churn and burn. They're paying Zuck. They're putting them through their fancy funnel. And if they don't get to the sales calendar, they just get lost into the abyss of their CRM, right? And so there's just so many dollars sitting in that CRM. Which then brings me to the last warning sign. The last warning sign is if your old lead or your old contact list of leads who never book sales calls is bigger than 1,000 contacts, you definitely need an SDR or a seller, because you can re-engage those leads, just like what I was saying. Even though the leads are older, you can continue to nurture them, push them through more marketing content, get them more testimonials, get them more social proof, and qualify them and triage them to get onto the sales calendar. We see so many sales happen just by re-engaging an old lead list, okay? So these are the 5 warning signs that you definitely need a setter. If you need help or you need more additional content, I'm happy to give any of that away. We also, if you need an appointment setter who can do 400 dials a day, who can book on average 3 to 10 sales appointments per day, with an average of 50 to 60% show rate on those appointments, then reach out. We book these, we recruit, pre-train, we vet, we even help onboard SDRs like this that are offshore with no accent. They have perfect English, and they crush the phones, and also they're super cheap. But in their country, they're making it rain. So you're never gonna have the issue of having an SDR complain, not do the dials, or who finally gets good and then they want to become a closer, and you know, either they want to ratchet up in your sales organization and become a closer, or you lose them to another company as a closer. So if you want help with any of that, you can reach out, and hopefully this video was helpful.